we are coming back. This is our final discussion sector. But if you can, we are three, and among our discussion, and if you are having any comment after listening other person's presentation, and if you can address some, I'd like to listen. For example, about like Yoshikawa Sensei's talk about the asteroid and also Morishige-san talk about the AI and my talk about the comprehensive. And let's discuss each other how it was, right? Very shortly, right? And then we will ask for the question from the microphone. And how about Yoshikawa Sensei listening among our presentations and what is useful for the study? So if you can comment about
yes. So the issue of AI, I'm not so familiar with this problem, but I think this is very maybe it will be a serious problem in near future. So,
yeah, and how about my risk evaluation? I'm sorry, I
yes,
have presented.
the risk evaluation is very, I think, very difficult. I mean, how to evaluate each different kind of disaster. So I think this is very difficult. How to compare?
So the point is how can you persuade the economic loss is huge. For example, asteroid, you understand the asteroid is very risky, but if no one will pay, so that means they are not the donor doesn't think seriously about this risk, right? So you need to make more comprehensive propaganda about asteroid risk and in order to get more budget, right? So that is one.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So how about Morishige-san listening about
Yeah, I think first of all, the Yoshikawa Sensei's talk was also very inspiring. And in our industry, we don't think about the things longer than 10 years, usually. So the once in 100 years, once in million years, that is pretty dramatically, longer time frame than we usually think. But that made me think about, how to make the data center backup. And I thought that, right now we are thinking about the distributed data center for the resilience, but we're talking about only a few hundred kilometers away. But after hearing Yoshikawa Sensei's talk, I thought that data center backup has to be the other side of the planet, right? So that we can make it resilient to those things hundreds years.
planetary scale backup.
Right. That's one thing. And the other thing is about the Yamashiki Sensei's talk is that also I have a similar feeling about all the cost associated, right? So if this is 100 million years, but we can still, the investment amount cannot be divided by 100 million years, right? Then there will be very small amount per each year, and that make no sense. So how to pricing those solutions and how to do the fair share among the beneficiaries.
Low probability, high risk event, is a high consequence event. It's very difficult in terms of the economical point of view because no one donor can compensate, right? If you pay for the asteroid protection, and that benefit will only come after a million years. So no one will make an investment. That is the biggest problem with but most of the phenomena, natural disaster and also the space disaster, are that period. Like there is no 10 years event, 100 years event. It's too short, like 1,000 years or more. But it happens. That is the problem. And also, if humans go to the space, they happen frequently, right?
Yeah. On the other hand, there's country generating more space debris, right? So by shooting out the tens of thousands of satellites,
we are increasing the risk by creating more risk factor by yourself. and that also changes from the point of view. And also the modern society, it's working perfectly, but if one thing happens, they collapse everything, and that is a very huge risk. So for example, space weather, like if the electricity shut down for 6 months, it's a disaster, right? So if one city is completely out of electricity only for 3 days, it's already disaster. So that kind of risk is huge, and also the consequence is big. So you have to think how to prepare for that. Okay, thank you. I'd like to open the question from the floor. So if you have some question for any person and anything, and I would like to ask a point some of the students. Nomuraku, do you have any like a comment, for example, comprehensive risk modeling? Because what you're doing is a global mapping. I don't know, it's similar or different, but since you are the person who can deal with the global scale, can you give any comment from your point of view?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm curious about the modeling, the way you model how you calibrate the risk. I see the equation of five factors multiplied, right? I'm curious about it. Is it enough to just multiply these factors, or how can we to get a comprehensive let's say
The risk model.
the comprehensive risk model, is it enough or not? That's the point when I see the slide. Thanks.
Yeah, so can you answer Aino-san, are you still there? Aino-san.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so his question is how to validate and how to calibrate the risk into each factor, because you have plenty of different risk, and how can you calibrate the model?
Yeah, good question. Of course, I mean, like the Finnish model, it hasn't gone through, let's say, severe tests, in a sense that, of course, the COVID-19 to some extent tested our system, and due to the war in Ukraine, of course, there has been some I mean, comparisons and viewing of the system in the light of that and all the different dimensions related, but in a way, the real test, there hasn't been that kind of a real test. That of course we are doing exercising and training, but we haven't gone through that big demanding let's say disasters that so it's a model that works well to some extent, but it's a theoretical model, but yes, to really validate it, of course, it's a good question how to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I can imagine that it's a very, very challenging thing to calibrate everything, because the security issue, some of the issues have never happened yet, but you have to quantify the risk. Thank you very much. Any other questions from the audience? And we have, if there is no, I would like to point out, please, can you introduce yourself and speak loudly? So.
Yes, hi. So Nicholas Lucic, postdoctoral student here in economics. I have a question that I feel has not enough been considered. It's the energy risk, the energy sources risk, especially for countries. I'm from France. Here in Japan, it's the same situation. It's countries with very little or no fossil fuel resources. These countries are first at risk of having their energy production slashed by lots because we know that there are non-linear effects on fossil fuel exports. So say we have 2 times less fossil fuel production in the world, there'll probably be 10 or 20 times less fossil fuel exports. So how would you account for this risk, this problem? For example, in AI, how can we develop AI with and the immense energy needs with, and we know that it's going to happen, less and less fossil fuel production, and so less and less fossil fuel exports and thus imports from Japan, France, and other countries that have no fossil fuels. Thank you.
Can you answer?
Yeah, I thank you for the question. Yes, I am the one that actually raised this concern a lot, and I expect the government is gonna take care of that. But in my view, you're right. So it is a huge risk for the country like Japan that doesn't have a natural resources. And when you depends on your power source from the oil, that it's a long sea lane is all at risk, right? And the second is that when you start to see the renewable energy in Japan, there's a limited land that we can only do that. And in fact, the solar panels concentration rate is already the world #1. Is more than 20x compared to the US in the ratio of per land of the solar panels. So I think it's coming to the limit. Right, and so the only way is probably the nuclear plant revive, and that's what Metis plant also. So I think that's one way self-contained. The other I think is obviously how to make the efficient computational more. Right, for example, when we say AI computer needs a lot of power, what do you think the real power efficiency for AI data center, for example? How much of the energy that you pump into the data center really used for AI computing? Only 6%. The rest of the majority of that is for cooling, for the storage, for the power supply, and everything else. So there's a lot of room for the efficiency improvement in terms of AI data center, and not just AI data center, but everything in the data center. So I think it's a good for Japan. Japan is good at saving energy here, there, and then put together, and then you have a huge saving, right? So that kind of thing is another areas that we can see improvement. And maybe if I will, third area is that, for example, the more AI model creation and AI inference can be in the different places. And instead of a transfer energy, you can transfer data model, which much more cheaper, right? So that's also another thing. It's a national level of optimization. It's also another way to save the energy.
Thank you very much. And also, I would like to add, this is a very big question about Japan because of since 2011 nuclear disaster, and that changed everything because the most of the energy of the Japan was based on the nuclear energy. But that doesn't work because of the high risk. And also we need to make more security for the nuclear power plant too. And that increases the amount of the oil it's importing, and that's raising the very high risk. And also we are trying to introduce a natural with renewable energy, but the solar panel will also creating many issues in the whole part of the Japan, and it is not stable because of the many disasters. The energy is the one big thing that Japan has to think in a different way. And I know that France, for example, it's nuclear power, very stable, but other European countries change from natural energy, and they are trying to find the best solution. And of course, I know that the AI need a nuclear power source. I know that, but in other sense, I know that nuclear power plant need to upgrade the security too. So there are very big contradictory things that we have to think about. And probably the energy issue is one of the biggest problem for the security of the future society. That's what I think. Yeah, thank you, Bob. Okay, another question. Let's invite the last question or last two questions. Saito Sensei, can you talk because it looks that we can.
Hello, I'm Kei Saito from G-Size. I'm a chemist by training, but focus on sustainability these days. But anyway, I wanted to ask you a question to Morimoto-san about the AI and the risk that might, happen in the future. For example, I think that these days people start talking to AI and they start loving AI. And my worry is maybe that, people might not communicate with human in the future. And the population might lose in the future. Is there like that kind of risk?
I see. Yeah, I think so. There's always a risk when you have a more popular technology that people tend to lean into that, and that will impact to the other human-to-human communication and interaction. For example, TV game, right? So when we introduce the TV games and Nintendo and those things that the kids are playing into the screen rather than playing with their friends. But then over time, they start to play with their friends through the games, and that creating other different type of community. So I think a human being will find a way to live through that and to re-engage to the human, right? I mean, the one cycle of things. Now, AI, on the other hand, is not the slave only. These days, I see the AI is starting to gain more powerful and influence to the human. So I think rather the biggest risk is the over-reliance on AI, right? Like I said in my talk, is that when you rely too much on AI, you stop thinking. And like if you rely on the car navigation system and not look at the map by yourself, then you will lose ability to read map. And similarly, many things that, I don't have to raise all the example, but the over-reliance, I think, is the over-dependency is the biggest risk for human. The other risk is that not every country have a luxury to create their own large language model or AIs. Therefore, some country will have to use AI created by other countries. Now, what do you think that those AI will be educated? Those information is not always the general, everybody agreed information. Some country will have a different opinion or data, history, understanding, and interpretation of particular incident or activities differently. But if your countries are not contributing enough to that large AI, that opinion will over time be faded out and lost in nowhere. So that might impact to the existence of the country and the culture and sovereignty. So I think that will be another very threatening thing, and how to protect your culture, your country's culture, history, and all the information in this AI world. So that would be, I think, another biggest risk I think involved.
How to protect indigenous culture of the Japanese among the universal and global. Thank you very much. It's a very interesting question. Okay, I think the last question, please, Morohashi-san. Yeah.
Okay, last question. Thank you very much. Mashiki Sensei, Yoshikawa Sensei's field is researching about space, and there's so many business opportunities probably in space, and also there's also a threat. And Morimoto-san, how it's the world of tech business, and how do you see space business and the threat and the future from your perspective? Yeah.
Okay, so okay, thank you. From business perspective, I think space area is kind of a risky investment area. So we see a venture capitalist or those investors coming into those areas a lot. But from the real business point of view, if I've been asked that is it really a money-making business or not, it's probably to the company like our company, it's a little too early to see that. But of course, we have to, prepare for that, right? So for example, if we make a computer, we want to make sure that computer works in the space so that we don't lose the business opportunity when they need a lot of computer on the moon or somewhere. And we will prepare for that, right? So that's, in that sense, we will get ready for ourselves. But as a whole business itself, it's too risky for private sector to invest. I think that's why the most of the cases is a national level of investment or projects like Jackson, NASA, and ESA, right? So that's my view.
In terms of this, Yoshikawa Sensei, can you say something about the Jackson person?
Yes, yes. So from the point of planetary science, the business is far from us. But since we are studying the asteroid approaching to the Earth, if they collide to the Earth, it is dangerous. But if we can use the asteroid, then it will be it will connect to business because we can
Many
use
natural resources.
Yes, space resource, yes.
Rare metal.
But still far from the business.
I know that one of the Japanese guy in launch a startup for the rocket.
Yes.
I forget the name, but I think one colleague just launched a company for the planetary defense.
Yes. You mean the observation rocket?
No, I think the rocket system. I forget the name. Ozaki-san.
Yes, Ozaki. Yes.
Ozaki-san. So one young scientist
Yes.
really launched a company for the planetary defense. It was amazing business, right? So yeah, okay. So thank you. The time is almost there. So if you don't have any question, we would like to finish our discussion session by thanking all the speakers. Thank you very much, and also including Ani-san. Thank you for Aino-san connecting from Finland, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you next time. Hope to see you again. Bye bye. 皆さんどうもありがとうございました。Thank you very much.